I wonder if this marriage is going bad with the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo, Carl Conyers. Essentially Giannis and the Bucks reached a critical breaking point, I'd say, with Giannis publicly comparing the situation to a marriage that needs couples therapy. So essentially, tensions have escalated as the 2025-2026 season ends with Milwaukee right now being 31 and 47, missing the playoffs for the first time in a decade. Essentially, obviously, Giannis a little while back got a left knee hyperextension, but essentially the staff basically said he wasn't ready to play, but he felt that he was ready to play. So right now the NBA is launching an investigation for potential violations on player participation policy, and the league is essentially scrutinizing whether the Bucks are intentionally tanking or forcing the star to sit against his will, obviously because he may or may not be out of here in the off season. So he feels like it's a slap in the face. He feel like he was born to play. He feels disrespected by the organization, and that's how it's going, man. But what are your thoughts on Giannis' latest with the Bucks going back and forth? Like, yeah, give me your 2 cents.
I mean, I definitely think like you said, it's a wrap, on this. If they go into next season, the status quo, I think that's kind of a failure as an organization, to be honest, at this point. Um, unless they're able to pull off some crazy signing or some crazy trade that they don't really have the assets to, it just feels like the best way for Milwaukee to move forward is to get a giant haul for Giannis. And the best way for Giannis to move forward and contend is for them to trade him elsewhere. He came out earlier this week or at the beginning of the week, but last week and said that those Knicks rumors were true about them potentially trading him to the Knicks. So, I think that there's some credence he might end up there. But yeah, I mean, if you already Giannis's team are the main ones who, put the league on notice of like, hey, he's trying to play basically, and they're not letting him play. So I think when you're doing something like that, like this relationship is really irreparable. He did say he's trying to get back for like the last regular season game so he can play with both of his brothers because that's something that's never been done before. But outside of that, like it just doesn't seem like there's anything else that needs to happen with these two together. Like at this point, I feel like the time has come. It just is what it is. Not everything lasts forever. Everybody wishes they could be Steph and Kobe and some of these other players, but the thing that's tough is even when you mention a lot of the greats, pretty much all of the recent greats who have stayed with one team, they've gone through really bad periods. Like Steph, they missed the playoffs 2 years in a row. Kobe, there was a period of time in the in between where he was thinking when he was averaging like 30 some points a game because they sucked, where he was thinking about leaving. And then, of course, at the end of his career, they were really bad. Dirk, they were not that's how they ended up getting Luca, like they were bad towards the end of his career. So I think the difference is Giannis still feels like I'm really a contender right now. Um, and I just think the situation that the team has put itself in with the moves they tried to make in the past couple of years has left them so bereft of assets and other talent that I just don't see any way for them to move forward together.
Yeah, I think it's time for him to rock. Do they have their draft pick for this upcoming draft?
I don't know. I don't think
Yeah,
I hope so, but I don't
I
think.
will hope so too, because in my head it's just like obviously he didn't re-up on that contract extension. So I think he's gonna have 2 years left on his contract. So he pretty much has a good amount of leverage into trying to decide where he goes to. Obviously, if you're a team, you don't want to give up too much. But I feel like the fact that he can kind of narrow down where he wants to go, like I said, give him that advantage. And I think the Bucks are like the ninth or tenth worst team. So I mean, we were kind of around that situation last year, and we magically got the second pick. And even look at the Dallas Mavericks, magically got the first pick. So I think it's one of those things where they're looking at their future. They know he's not there, and they're just like, hey, we're gonna try to get some assets. Obviously, he's a top three player when healthy, top five, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna try to get some assets back for him, but also let's kind of ensure that we get a lottery pick, or even go as far as the top five pick, depending if it lands our way, and just rebuild from there. So it's definitely a conflict of interest. I feel like the league's going to investigate it, but the way it's going, they're going to make sure like they're set up for success post Giannis, especially with these expansions coming relatively pretty soon. So definitely, I think that was his last game. I don't see him playing no more, and I'm looking forward to see the future, what the future holds for him. I would love is to see him go to Knicks, man. I would love to see him go to Knicks. I feel like in that market, he's going to become even more polarizing as a player. Cat's cool and all that, Brunson's cool and all that, but we talking about an international star, and that's the international market of the NBA in New York. So that would be nice. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, man, it be like that sometimes, man. That's why I be saying like, don't be getting mad about the players sometimes, because sometimes it be the organization that be doing all that shit on the low. So
Also, real quick, I looked it up and yeah, so the Bucks, their pick for this year, Atlanta owns the more favorable of Milwaukee and New Orleans first round pick. And and so Milwaukee basically will receive the less favorable of the two. And also New Orleans has the right to swap with Milwaukee. So basically, whatever pick they end up with this year is probably going to end up being like 20 or something like that. Like they're not going to
that
be able to
sucks.
actually, yeah, convert off of being so bad this year.
Damn, damn. Yeah, man, that's tough when you put it like that, bro. Milwaukee's cooked. Milwaukee is cooked. So yeah, we're gonna continue to monitor this going into the off season. But yeah, he's done all he can for that organization. Hopefully, he ends up in a team. He ends up with a team with the essentially ready-made roster. He's that final piece that they kind of need without taking too much away. But it's kind of hard when you're a super max player